Fractions, decimals, and salmon. Salmon are a foundation of history and culture. Before Europeans came to what is now the northwestern United States and southwestern Canada, salmon fishing was a foundation of Indigenous culture. People who had to spend all day hunting didn't have much time left over for inventing. However, hundreds of years ago, salmon were plentiful, and native people were knowledgeable about catching and preserving salmon. Historically, scaffolds would be built over the falls, the Columbia River and its tributaries, and people used a net with a long handle called a dip net to fish. On the Warm Springs Reservation, you can still see fishing from scaffolds today. How settlers impacted the salmon fishing. The newcomers not only caught salmon for themselves, they also caught salmon to sell. Think, what is going to happen if people are catching many more fish? Yes, there are going to be less fish, but how many less? In the making camp deer and salmon game, we rounded the number of fish caught in 1883 to 40 million. In 1888, there were 25 million caught. We could look at the fraction as 25 million, 40 millions, and that fraction can be reduced to 5/8. Remember, to reduce a fraction, divide both the numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the largest number that goes into both the numerator and denominator with no remainder. Dividing 25 million and 40 million each by their greatest common factor, which is 5 million, gives us the fraction 5/8. Only 5 of 8 people get fish. We can easily visualize that. 3/8 get no salmon. 1, 2, 3 unhappy people. Remember, 1 whole equals n over n, where n stands for any number. 8/8 equals 1 whole group. 40 millionths equals 1 whole group too, but isn't quite as easy to visualize. 8/8 minus 5/8 equals 3/8. 3/8 of the people are left out. In the making camp deer and salmon game, we rounded the number of fish in 1883. It was actually 43 million, not 40 million. So the fraction in 1888 was 25 million, 43 millionths. In 1888, there were 25 million salmon caught. In 1883, there were 43 million salmon caught. We could reduce the fraction to 25/43. Or we could say the catch in 1888 was 58% of the salmon catch in 1883. If you didn't know, now you know. You might have thought the only meaning of catch was a verb, where you get fish on a hook or catch a ball in your hands. But actually, catch can also be a noun, where catch is the quantity of something caught. Now you know. Okay, back to math. In 1888, there were 25 million salmon caught. In 1883, there were 43 million salmon caught. We could say that the catch in 1888 was 58% of the salmon catch in 1883. Assuming you know 100% is a whole, and you can imagine percentages on a number line from 0 to 100, with 50% in the middle. If I told you the salmon catch was only 58% of what it was 5 years ago, you'd know there are only about half as many salmon. Converting fractions to decimals allows us to talk about percentages. Percent literally means per 100. For most people, fractions that cannot easily be reduced, like 729/27 are easier to understand or visualize when given as a percent. Like this. If we know how serious a problem is, if we understand the fraction, the decimal, how much less we have, then we can do something about it, like create a fish hatchery.